Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Fil. Central theme: relationship with preceding and succeeding surahs in sequence of the discourse. From Surah Qari'ah, which is the 101st surah, to Surah Humazah, which is the 104th surah, it is pointed out to the Quraysh that they have remained so possessed with the love of wealth and children that they have grossly failed to fulfill the rights of God as well as their own fellow human beings. In spite of this, they still claim to be the heirs of Abraham and Ishmael and the custodians of the Baytullah built by them. In this particular surah and its dual counterpart, Surah Quraysh, which succeeds it, they are cautioned that they have been blessed with peace and sustenance not because of their own efforts or because they were entitled to them, but because of the Prophet Abraham's invocation and the blessings of the house which he built. Therefore, instead of showing vanity, it is their obligation to worship the Lord of this house, who fed them in hunger and secured them against every kind of danger, as is indicated in Surah Quraysh in the following words: فَلْيَعْبُدُوا رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. Hence they should worship the Lord of the house, who fed them in hunger and provided them with peace and fear. Surah number 106, verses 3 and 4. The only difference between the two surahs is that in Surah Fil, an event bears witness to the power and might of God which saved the Baytullah from a great enemy, while in Surah Quraysh, the Quraysh are reminded of the fact that it is their association with the Baytullah which accounts for the favors of peace and sustenance. At the time when Abraham ﷺ had settled his son Ishmael ﷺ in Mecca, the land was not only scarce in food resources but was in a constant state of strife as well. Abraham ﷺ had earnestly prayed to the Almighty to bless the land with peace and sustenance, and the Almighty had granted him his wish. The progeny of Abraham benefited from both these favors because of Baytullah only, but later on, pride and vanity made them indifferent to these blessings. They are warned against their ingratitude at many instances, as in this surah in the Qur'an. In the surahs of this last group, Surah Balad also discusses some important aspects of this attitude and can be consulted for details. In this surah, the Quraysh are reminded of a significant event of their history. The Almighty had helped them decidedly in combating the forces of Abraha, who attacked the Baytullah with a 60,000 strong army to demolish it. It was not easy for the Quraysh to face such a big army in the open, whose vanguard consisted of elephants. They had therefore sought refuge in the nearby mountains and had defended the Holy Land by hurling stones at the advancing enemy. The defense indeed was very frail and feeble, but the Almighty transformed it into a powerful outburst which totally destroyed the enemy, and their dead bodies were feasted upon by kites, vultures and crows. Text of the surah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل وأرسل عليهم طيرا أبابيل ترميهم بحجارة من سجيل فجعلهم كعصف مأكول.
Translation of the surah. In the name of God, the most gracious, the ever merciful. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the people of the elephant? Did he not foil their treacherous plan and sent down against them swarms of birds? You pelted them with clay stones, and God made them like straw eaten away. Explanation of the surah. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the people of the elephant? The addressed words alam tara, or have you not seen, are grammatically singular in nature, but they are mostly used in the Qur'an to address plural entities, as if directed to every person individually in a group of people. Here the addressees are the Quraysh. They are reminded about their recent past and asked whether they had forgotten how their Lord had dealt with the people of the elephant. It should be kept in mind that the event which is being referred to had taken place the same year the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was born. Therefore, there must have been people at the time of revelation of this surah who had witnessed it or had at least heard so much about it by so many people that it had become for them no less than a directly observed reality. The words Alam Tara therefore seem very appropriate. The Qur'an has not mentioned any details regarding the people of the elephant, such as their description, their origin, and the purpose of their march. The reason for this brevity is that the addressed people knew these details very well. Only their introduction by the words Ashabul Fil, or the people of the elephant, was enough to indicate that Abraha, the Abyssinian ruler of Yemen, whose troops also consisted of elephants, was being referred to. It was for the first time that the Arabs had encountered elephants in a war, and to express the grimness of the event, they remembered it by this name. Whether there was only a single elephant or several is a question in relation to which both meanings can be construed from the words of the Qur'an. But since the plural word ashab is used and not sahib, which is a singular word, it is more likely that there was more than one elephant. The ahadith also reinforce the fact that there was a whole battery of elephants with the army, which tremendously increased its strength and awesomeness. Though some historians have regarded Abraha as a tolerant ruler, yet he does not deserve such a high opinion if his life is studied. He seems to be an opportunist, a traitor, and a highly prejudiced Christian. He had betrayed the ruler of Abyssinia and had actually used his army to bring Yemen under his own control. History bears witness to his traitorship. It is not possible to enlist all the details, yet it is a historical fact that after assuming control of Yemen, he not only killed its Jewish king, but also ruthlessly exterminated Judaism from the land. Prejudice for Christianity made him obsessed with the idea of converting the Arabs to Christianity. To execute his scheme, he built a grand cathedral in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. He wrote to King Negus of Abyssinia, for whom he was deputizing in ruling Yemen, that he had built a unique cathedral, towards which he intended to divert the Arabs to offer their pilgrimage and to demolish the Baytullah. He then made up a story that an Arab had violated the sanctity of the cathedral by relieving himself in it, only to justify an attack on the Baytullah. Considering the traditional bravery and courage of the Arabs, it is very unlikely that something like this might have happened. Even if the episode is assumed to be true, a person's individual misdeed is not enough to justify the exaction of revenge from a whole nation and to go as far as razing down the Baytullah. It is quite evident that only to inflame the Arabs and to gain the support of King Negus that this lie was given a lot of air. He finally launched an attack on Mecca with a 60,000 army supported by 9 or 10 elephants. Alam yaj'al kaydahum fi tadlil. Did he not foil their treacherous plan? The Almighty aborted the scheme of Abraha, which has been termed kaydun, or an intrigue by the Qur'an, because to justify a vicious move, a ridiculous allegation was invented, as is indicated before. However, there are also some other reasons for calling this scheme an intrigue. Imam Farahi mentions them in his exegesis in the following words. 1. Abraha had attacked the Baytullah during the forbidden months because he believed that in these months the Arabs refrained from war and bloodshed. 2. He had tried to enter Mecca when its inhabitants and other Arabs were offering the rites of Hajj. 3. He had specially intended to launch his offensive during the stay of Mina, when the Arabs would either be busy in offering sacrifice or would be returning home totally exhausted. Farahi, Majmu'at Tafasir, page 386. To foil this evil contrivance, what the Almighty did is deduced thus by Imam Farahi. 1. He did not let them penetrate beyond the valley of Muhassar. 2. The Arabs used the stones of this valley to bombard their enemy, as shall be described later. 3. The Almighty let loose a hasib, which is a stone-hurling wind on the enemy, which totally destroyed them. Farahi, Majmu'at Tafasir, page 387. Many eyewitnesses have reported this hasib, and historians like Ibn Hisham have recorded their observations. Imam Farahi has also discussed these testimonies in detail. I shall restrict myself to 2 examples only. The famous poet Abu Qais, while mentioning the power and glory of the Almighty, refers to this hasib in the following way. فَأَرْسَلَ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ حَاسِبٌ يُلَفُّهُمْ مِثْلَ لَفِّ الْقَزِمِ. Then the Almighty unleashed a hasib on them, which enwrapped them like rubbish. Similarly, Sayfi ibn Amir has referred to a hasib and a saif in the following couplet. فَلَمَّا أَجَازُوا بَطْنَ نُعْمَانٍ رُدَّهُمْ جُنُودُ اللَّهِ بَيْنَ سَافٍ وَحَاسِبٍ. As soon as they had advanced beyond Batn Norman, the forces of the Almighty alighted among the Hasib and Saif and destroyed them. وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ, and sent down against them swarms of birds. This is a metaphorical description of the final state of devastation and helplessness of Abraha's army. The Almighty totally ravaged them, and not a single soul survived to gather the dead. They remained scattered in the battlefield. The Almighty sent forth on them carnivorous birds, which tore and ate their flesh and cleansed Mecca from the stink of their remains. Sending forth birds on the enemies is a commonly found metaphorical depiction of the state of utter decimation of the enemy in the odes and laudatory compositions of the Arab poets. They often extol their armies by saying that when they attack the enemy, meat-eating birds fly with them, as if they knew that after the enemy is completely destroyed, they would get a chance to satisfy their hunger. In the Old Testament, the tale of David and Goliath is narrated. It says that when the two faced each other in combat and David effectively answered all the conceited remarks of Goliath, Goliath replied irritably, "I shall feed the kites and crows with your meat today." But David, by the Almighty's help, turned the tables on Goliath. The word Ababil does not refer to swallows. It means a pack of horses and also implies a swarm of birds. Grammarians differ whether the word is singular or plural. Some say that it is a plural word which has no singular, and some hold that it is the plural of Ibbalatun. In the opinion of this writer, it is used here for the birds who had gathered to feed on the slain army of Abraham. The expression وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ refers to the utter state of helplessness of the people of the elephant, that no one even remained to bury the dead. The birds feasted on the dead bodies with complete freedom.